everybody. This is Colin Stevens and PC Henry. We are F2 basketball, and this is our first episode. We're pretty excited about what we're going to be doing with this podcast, and so we're going to talk about some important things today, and we're also going to share a little bit about our backgrounds, just to give you guys a little bit of familiarity with us, and as we continue, and then bring on guests and that kind of thing. So. Just starting with PC, you want to give us a little bit of your background? Like, why are you F2 podcast?
Well, I played basketball and soccer in college, and then soccer for a little bit after, and I was, kind of found in my own athletic development how fascinated I was with the body, and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that, and so I started doing research on what I needed to do to be working and doing a good job with athletes at a variety of levels, and obviously we knew each other from way back, and we connected, and then I went to LA and trained for a little bit, and then came back, and we reconnected, and so that's why I'm on the F2 podcast.
Yeah, so PC and I do have a little bit of history as he was coming up through high school, and I was just getting done with college. Was training him on the court, and so PC is our strength and conditioning dude, but not just strength and conditioning, like nutrition and wellness and all kinds of stuff. So the players that come in our program, they're not just getting the basketball side of things. PC does an awesome job teaching them about their bodies, certainly working on their bodies, and so that's what he does for us. And for me, I am our skills guy. Would like to think of myself a little bit more than just skills. Like, I may know a little bit about the game, but that's
and captain of the ship.
Right, yeah.
Kind of steering the ship.
Certainly. We would also be remiss in not including Nicholas Izzo, who holds it down for us on the media side of things. So quick shout out to Nick, this is what this makes up our F2 team right now. But something that we want to let everybody in on is F2 and what it means and why. So in working in the basketball training industry for the past 10 years, I've come to learn a lot of things that I appreciate about the training business, some things that I don't like about it. I've learned a lot about myself and who I want to be around, and it's pretty cool because, in the position that I'm in, I get to choose who I work with. And so to be able to choose guys that are really solid guys that know the game, that also love seeing players reach a new level, has been something that's really cool for me. But in and out of it, I've learned a lot about myself and what I want to do and an environment that I want to create. So as we were getting a band of brothers together to talk about what we wanted to be different as a training company, different than what we've seen or where we really felt like our niche was, it felt like God was moving in us to create this mission. And the mission is to provide a training environment that honors God as we take players to the next level. And so for those of you who don't know anything about us, we work with committed players. So from professional players, college players, and high school players. And we run an NBA pre-draft camp that goes, in the spring, right before the draft. We've done that for the past 2 years, and we're fortunate to have some guys in training camp this year. And so that's a little bit of where our program lies. Pre-draft is a really, really fun time for us. PC gets these guys 4 or 5 times a week, which is exciting for a strength guy. And on the skill side of things, we're in the gym, hours on end every day, save for Sundays. We're getting after it. So that gives you guys a little bit of a background on where we are. The F2 piece, it stands for faith and fight. Two things that we feel like are absolutely essential to reaching your next level as a person, as a player. Not only faith in yourself, but faith in God, and certainly you have to fight in all avenues of life to become really, really good at something. Whether it's your relationships, certainly something we talk about in basketball. It could be in academics or whatever you're pursuing. You have to fight through things to get to as far as you can get to. So, with that being said, we're just going to kind of go back and forth here a little bit. PC, we're going to start talking about the faith piece of it. Faith and fight. So what does faith mean to you?
I mean, faith can mean a lot of things, and I think it depends on what you're directing it towards. I'm gonna skip to the fight first, and then pull back in on the faith.
Cool.
Faith, because from really high school through college and after and up to now, I've been very blessed to be a part of a lot of like winning teams and organizations and companies that are doing well, and just like a lot of high level performers. And the fight piece is very consistent. Like in all of those, there was not one of those, regardless of which sport it was, where we had success where we were dogs, and
right.
That's how it was. And then it's been the same thing in the business world, is where people have had success. They're hustlers. They're fighting for what they want and what they want to create. And so like that's a consistent theme regardless of your worldview. If you want something, you have to fight for it. I don't care if you're Christian or not. But I will say this: what was lacking, while we did have success, there wasn't always joy. There wasn't always that. I don't know the word for it, but Jesus wasn't always present. And you can feel the difference in the room when, that type of faith is being prioritized. And that's why, I think it took you one or two phone calls to convince me to pack up my life out west and drive across the country overnight, in 2 days, and like, let's just rock.
Right.
Because it was like, okay, I'm doing a lot of the things that I really want, that I want to be doing.
Yeah.
But something wasn't quite right.
Yeah.
Like I was in a great situation. I was very blessed, and I'm very thankful for everything that I was able to experience. Separate from F2.
Yeah.
But just seeing that we were going to try and do some of the same things, but really have a focus on that faith piece. That's where it became a no-brainer for me, and that's why even though we're a few years in, we're still at the ground level. I mean, it's growing rapidly, but it takes a lot of faith, for you. You got a family that's, you got to put food on the table, and I eat a lot, so I need to be able
to
put
a lot of food
on my table, But yeah, I think in a lot of cases, particularly in athletics, is people see like a faith in Christ or a walk with Christ, and being a fighter as
opposites.
Yeah. Which is very much not the case if you get in the scripture.
Right.
When Jesus had a problem with what was going on in the temple, what did he do?
Yeah.
He went and flipped over the table, which at the time was not made of, this plasticky kind of, it was like slab, like it was stone, and so, the fact that he was bold enough, it's one thing, if we get into the details of it, it's one thing for you to be mad and you walk up here and kick this little table over because you're mad. It's a whole nother thing to pick up a giant slab of rock as the centerpiece of a very secure area that's heavily populated, and like, you're not supposed to go in the church and tell them they're not doing right, especially at that time. And so they're like, I think you have to be bold and strong, and I think you have to ask for those things from God, to have the faith and the fight piece together.
Right.
And it is an ongoing struggle where we kind of can go over the top on the fight and think we've got to, act a certain way. When really some of the most difficult fights aren't the ones where we're puffing our chest and, it's not driven by anger. It is driven by faith.
Right.
And so.
Well, I think it's interesting that you start with the fight piece and then kind of then go into the faith piece. For me, I think it starts with faith, and faith for me is like what we believe in. Like, so even when personally, like, do I believe in myself? Do I believe I can achieve something higher? If I don't believe that I could achieve something that is currently out of my reach, then I won't fight for it. Right? When we don't, if I went into the ring with
could be
Mayweather. If I went into the ring with Mayweather, like, I would not fight. I would absolutely run, because I don't. Right, he'd probably chase me, but I wouldn't think I could win that fight. That's out of my reach, so I don't fight. You know what I'm saying? So, like, for me, when we believe in ourselves enough to take action, but also if we believe we can get there, we'll fight. If we don't believe we can get there, we don't fight. We quit, or we never step into the ring. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, that mentally for me, and then the faith piece that goes deeper than that is faith in God, that He created me for a deeper purpose than for me to just live this life on my accord and gain all the stuff that I can gain and do whatever I can for me. Like, Jesus didn't show us that way. And so that faith piece is at the root of who I am, who you are, who our company is, right? And so, but that faith to me leads to the fight part. And so many times when we think about fight, we think about fist fight or just, like, whatever is physical. But there's so much that we encounter that is not physical and that is absolutely a fight. So a lot of times it's mental, or a lot of times it's spiritual. And a lot of times in relationships, we struggle with not communicating, and we don't fight for the best part of our relationship. A lot of times with our basketball teams, like, we have players that will fight. Some will fight each other physically, but then, like, as coaches, we want to try to get our teams to be as disciplined as possible and dig into the details so that they can become the best team they can be. And sometimes that's a fight, and it's a struggle, power struggle.
I think it's the balance between competition and, and anger-fueled reaction.
Yeah.
Like, competition, like, if you're a really high-level team, I'm not saying you should, but I would be surprised if you take the past however many NBA champions, NCAA champions, and they didn't have one fight in practice.
Oh, absolutely.
They didn't have one
absolutely,
scrap,
because the thing is...
But then they left it there because and I think that's the difference between competition is not fueled by anger. It's fueled by passion, which can turn to anger at times. But, like, you can be a passionate warrior, fighter, stand your ground, hold people accountable without being a jerk. But you
have to be.
Yeah.
Like, there has to be that, because somebody is holding somebody else to a higher standard. Mm-hmm. And it happens in every team that we're in. And when we have teams that they'll talk behind each other's back, but they won't encounter each other, and they won't, scrap it out face to face, whether it's words or it's a fist fight, they won't do it. And it happens all the time in our marriages and in the offices across corporate America. It happens all the time. People won't actually take on the fight that matters. It's easier for us to kind of be a little bit of a coward and talk trash behind their back, and then think somehow that's going to fix things.
But you can't trust cowards come game day.
No, absolutely not.
You can't. The best teammates I've ever had, I didn't even like some of them, but we were the ones going nose to nose with each other, pushing each other. But come game day, I know that dude's going to do everything in his power to get us a result for the greater good. Like, he wants to win so bad, he's willing to fight his own teammate for it. Right. I'll trust that guy.
And so the dynamic, absolutely, and the dynamic of our company is how does Christianity and basketball intersect, and how can we encourage men and women to fight in a way that honors God.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to fight and to use their faith as the ground of that. And so even in my mind, like as we look at Jesus' life, like he was absolutely a fighter. Like what he did in terms of his ministry completely went against the culture of the day, right? Even the religious culture of the day. But what he also did in his ministry was that he wound up paying the price for our sin. Like, and he redeemed us. Like, so he fought for us when he easily could have quit. He could have snapped his fingers, told his angels to come down and just obliterate everybody who was harassing him.
And he fought
right?
and he had faith in the sense that he fought to give us a chance.
Yeah.
He didn't fight.
Right.
Like, it's not like, okay, it's done.
Right.
All my people
right,
are
right.
saved.
Because not everybody accepts him.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
And like that, I mean, you can see that with training.
Yep.
Like we were talking about this the other day. Like, you can grind every day, you can be efficient, you can study, you can do everything, and it still doesn't guarantee you what you want.
Absolutely.
And that's where, you know, some people call it a gamble or whatever, but
right.
it's faith at the end of the day.
Sure.
You know, and I mean, there's kids that work incredibly hard, they're super devoted, they're great teammates, and all this stuff, and they don't get a scholarship.
Right. Right. And there's plenty of guys that we've even trained, you know, in these past couple of years, looking to get into the NBA, and they start putting the time in with their bodies and their skills, and then they don't get an opportunity. Like, that door doesn't open.
Yeah.
So, we don't consider it a gamble because this is the business that we're in.
Yeah.
And so we tell people, like, this is the prerequisite. You have to put the work in before you even get the opportunity. We also know that we live in a world that sees talented 17 or 18-year-olds and they're saying, oh, that's going to be the next pro. And they almost already crown him, you know, king of basketball at 17, you know, right? And so we do live in that world. But I think faith and fight absolutely are, you know, they're brothers. And I think it's important that we have, that we also, we encourage people to live both of those boldly, to live your faith boldly and to step out and fight boldly. And sometimes fighting is biting your tongue. Mm-hmm. Sometimes fighting is even fighting what's going on inside of you and saying, I'm not going to give in to this right now.
I think
you know?
that's the most common fight.
Sure.
That's it. I mean,
but not recognized as a fight.
Right. Well, you talked about, like, there's physical fighting, there's mental fighting, there's you know, spiritual warfare going on. Like, 2/3 of that is not physical.
Right.
And when people hear the word fight, they think physical for some reason. That's the case. But there's way more. You know, the longer you're in this business, the more you see, like, it's about these mental fights. Like, the body will figure itself out. Yeah. You know, and it's amazing. I love that God created us this way, that, you know, it's not all the time, but it tends to spill over into different things, which can be a very bad thing in some situations. It can be a very good thing. Right. You know, there's direct correlation between physical training and improved mental health. Right. You know, and when you're in an improved mental state, I mean, yes, your spiritual life is most important, but if you're doing these other things and enhancing them, it's a lot easier to get it together, in my opinion, on the spiritual side. Like, if you're having discipline on your physical side, you're putting good things in your body. Like, that's biblical. Like Daniel, the story of Daniel. Like, you're killing it on that front. You're breathing positivity into your mind. You're surrounding yourself with good people and everything. It elevates you over here. And when you're really elevated in 2 of the 3 areas, it's kind of hard to not pull the other one up with it, because you're seeking that. You know, you're enjoying that elevated part of life, and then when the spiritual side comes up, man, then the others get elevated even more. I mean, it's just it's a it's a compound. Right, compound effect.
Compound effect.
Thanks,
compound effect. Darren Hardy, we are plugging your book as we have read it, and I read it a few months ago, and I've since told everybody and their mother about the compound effect. So, Darren, thank you for writing that and making very simple truths applicable for us in that book. I think Yeah. So enough talk on faith and fight. Let's talk a little bit, just to give the listeners a little bit more on, just like what is your life like outside of training, and I'll do the same, just so there's a little bit of an inside
Yeah.
track for these people to get to know us a little bit better.
Well, I mean, my life outside of training is usually training.
Oh.
You know, my day yesterday was, we had a group of guys working out in the weight room that I don't train. They're just like training partners, or guys trying to get it in. And I just say, everybody's welcome. And so we had that, and then did some blogging.
Some blogging,
a little bit of writing.
Nice.
So branching out a little bit.
Right.
So stay tuned for that.
Did you get choked out yesterday?
I did not get choked out yesterday. And I'll get to that part of my day.
Okay, all right.
But then I also teach a health class.
Right.
In the afternoons. I teach 2 health classes in the afternoons at a local school.
Right.
And I enjoy it most days.
Right.
There's
Sure.
good days and not as good days.
Right.
But that was good. And then we had our F2 older high school group in the weight room with me after school. It was a quick, tough workout, but we've been doing a lot of volume, and so every now and then we just throw that quick hitter in, and the environment was good. It was popping. There was energy. There was some new people in there, and we just hit the ground running. And then I went up to my MMA gym, and we did some Muay Thai work and Jiu-Jitsu work, and so I've got a few knocks and bumps and bruises and rug burns, but no, I didn't get choked out last night.
Good.
So I actually didn't get submitted at all, but
So that was actual fight. That was actual fist fight. That was not that. I guess there's a mental part of that too.
Yeah.
But that was
And I enjoy it just because I like being physical and being active and everything, and it's just something that I've spent some time in it throughout my life, but it was just like, okay, I want to kind of get this hammered out. Like this is something new. It's something where I can be coached and enjoy that. Like that, I think I called you last night and was telling you, like, it's so nice not to, like, as trainers and coaches, like, we're constantly organizing and analyzing what everyone is doing, and just to be able to be like, okay, so it's a little bit of me time.
And somebody coach you up.
And I got to be able to look at some of these pro fighters that we were training with, and be like, hey, correct me, don't, like, because I could see in one of their eyes, like, he was a nice guy, which was really cool, because all of the guys, there was 3 pros in there last night, and they were the nicest dudes ever, and probably the most testosterone driven environment. Like, they were humble enough to be like, hey man, it's good to see you today, like, I noticed this or whatever, and like they were almost being too passive with me. I grabbed one of them, I was like, hey, correct me, like, I want to get this right, like, I'm not here for. And
you gotta be careful how you grab a jiu-jitsu guy, because,
it wasn't an aggressive grab, it was more of a tug, let him know I'm here, and so I'm enjoying that. I like being active, and doing a lot of self-experimentation, because I'm not going to recommend something to athletes nutrition-wise or supplement-wise or workout-wise that I haven't at least done for a certain period of time and seen some positive results.
Studied yourself,
and most of the guys we train are genetically superior to me. And so if it works for me, it's going to really work well for them. And so I get to have a lot of fun experimenting on myself.
That's a day in the life of PC Henry, ladies and gentlemen.
My life.
The quick version. For me, I am married with two awesome kids, an awesome wife.
I'm single as a Pringle.
Single as a Pringle. So you single ladies that are listening in, if you are younger than 50, give my boy PC, give my boy PC a holler.
Older than.
Right. Certainly, but older than 21. So I'm married. Two beautiful kids we have. My wife Laura is certainly the better half of us. She played college soccer. I played college basketball, and we met there. I run a F2, and I also I'm CEO of a youth academy here in Myrtle Beach as well, and so certainly fully in basketball. I'm involved in our church, Christ United, and I'm really thankful for the team that we have. We've got a great group of guys that care so much about who we work with. And on the F2 side of things, on the Manzer basketball side of things, Patrick Burnett, I got to give you a shout out, bro. David Long, you've been with me for a long time as well. And so we've got a whole bunch of guys that are committed to pursuing just as good as we can be in the basketball world, and helping the players that we work with attain their goals. And so that is certainly a great honor for me. And man, I am humbly thankful for what God does in me every day. And it's just, we don't have that much time, you know what I'm saying, for me to go into all that. But I think, I really do think this wraps it up. I think we're excited to bring you more guests as our audience, and to expose you to a little bit of our network and who we know and who knows God, more importantly, and how basketball ties us all together. So many of you guys know that when you're in the game, or you create so many relationships that contribute to who you are. And so one of our hopes here is that we can bring you across some guests that you can come to know a little bit, and you can also see who they are and what they're all about, and how God has impacted their life along their way, whether it's coaches, trainers, or players. We're very excited to open that up to you. So thanks for joining us. We look forward to being with you next time. F2, we out.
Later.